This is Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance in Turlock today in the Central Valley. We are joined by Vito Chiesa. He is a member of the Board of Supervisors in Stanislaus County where we are today, but also the president of the California State Association of Counties. Mr. President, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Very nice to see you again, Brad.
I want to speak first about an issue that permeates the entire state, and that's transportation. As you know, Governor Brown recently called a special session dedicated specifically to transportation, road repairs, bridge repairs. What can you tell us about the special session? Where is CSAC on this issue?
CSAC has been very supportive of transportation funding. There's a large shortfall in the current year and going forward right now. We've been supportive of Senator Bell's bill, which will be probably the centerpiece of the special legislative session. And I say that because it's the only bill out there right now.
So far.
There's a lot of talk, but it has a lot of broad-based support, and it raises about $3 billion in new revenue over each year for the next 5 years.
I want to speak with you not only as a CSAC president, but as a member of the board here in Stanislaus County, because I think Stanislaus could be impacted in very unique ways given the proposals that are out there. We're looking at the gas tax, as you know. The gas tax has not been raised in 20 years. And we have more fuel-efficient vehicles. And as a result, not as much money is coming in through the gas tax. So there's discussion about increasing the gas tax. Now, for someone that lives in an urban center and they drive 5 minutes to their office, that's easy. You know, it's not going to impact that much. But in Stanislaus County, you know, presumably a lot more commuting to Modesto, to Sacramento, farming. And so what are you hearing, seeing, feeling, smelling on this issue of the gas tax?
Well, I think that's why Senator Bell's bill is so intriguing for a lot of people, because it doesn't just raise the gas tax. It takes components of the VLF fee. They're going to repay the weight fees back into the general fund and backfill it. You've got, there's a charge on the low zero emission vehicles. You've got diesel tax, they're raising the diesel tax. And so it's broad base, a little bit across a broad base, so it doesn't over impact any one area. So I like that approach. I've seen the polling numbers, and people like that a lot better than just picking one component, because someone always gets the punitive action from that one component.
As you know, under the California Constitution, to increase a tax fee, you need 2/3 of the vote of the legislature or a vote of the people. I think we're going to be heading toward the legislative route. We're not going to go back to the people necessarily. Presumably, and I'm making a generalization, Democrats would be a little more supportive of increasing revenue than Republicans, but you know, that's a generalization. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that's accurate. Do you see Republicans in this region, for example, being willing to jump on board Senator Beall's proposal? Because they will need a few Republicans at a minimum.
And we have probably the key Republicans here, basically in my district.
And if I may say, Anthony Cannella, who is seen as kind of the quintessential moderate Republican, Kristen Olson, the leader of the Assembly Republicans, you know, maybe not seen as somewhat of a centrist, but still a consensus builder.
A consensus builder, and actually pretty moderate. I think we've got Senator Berryhill, as well as the Democratic member, Assemblyman Gray, and
all mods, if you think about it. A lot of mods.
We're in a good position. I think there's going to be some key components. Stanislaus County, by themselves, we want to do a self-help tax in 2016, in November of 2016. In Senator Bell's bill, there is a 5% set aside of all that revenue for, we're considered an aspiring county, someone who wants to be self-help. But it'll be a dedicated pot of money that is only available to someone who passes a self-help tax from 2016 on.
So let me ask you about that, though, because in that situation, I believe would you need 50+1 if you go
66?
You would need the 2/3.
Yes.
And so 2/3 is a big number to reach. Stanislaus County, kind of purple, is that fair?
Yeah.
Kind of purple. And so do you think you can get your purple constituents in large numbers to pass a self-help tax dedicated to transportation?
And we failed twice, but the last time we got 66.43%. We were out of 120,000 plus votes, I think we were about 300 or 400 short. So it's very difficult. There's no doubt the bar is very difficult to get over. With a dedicated funding, a pot of money to leverage, because the greatest thing we have is you tax yourself $1 and you leverage it into $3 or $4. You're bringing outside money into your county. So I think that's a great component. I'm a huge advocate. Transportation, I believe, is the first component of bringing jobs. You have to have the ability to move goods and services to get them around the area to other states. We have a great northwest corridor, Highway 33, I-5, and Highway 99, but our east-west corridors are lacking.
Let's talk about the goods and services that are so important to this region, and that, of course, is agriculture. You know much better than I how hard this region has been hit by the drought. Not to say California's not suffering as a state, but this region specifically. I mean, we are in Turlock, ground zero, Central Valley, for the drought. What does it look like? What does it feel like?
It's, you know,
I feel your pain. I feel your pain, sir.
When people said pray for rain before, I wasn't praying for rain. I was just trying to figure out how we're going to work the system with a limited amount of water. We've come to the point where we all better be praying for rain. It is truly, I think the rest of the state and the rest of the nation is starting to understand how critical the situation is. My comments have always been, you know, we've been fighting the farmers and the cities and the environmentalists have been fighting for 20 years. And we have a collapsing ecosystem in the Delta. We have less reliability than we've ever had in agriculture.
Ground.
And then we have the subsidence issue and water quality issues here in the city. So we need to stick together, you know, in the Central Valley because we are ground zero.
Are you sticking together? Meaning those constituencies?
You know, we're trying, but it's difficult because even ag within the Central Valley, you know, gets their water from different areas. Some people have better water rights than others. So it puts you in a haves and have-not situation.
But let me ask you about water rights. We know the State Water Board has been issuing curtailment orders. Even folks that have water rights dating back to 1903 are losing, at least temporarily, their water rights. It's painful. I mean, it's really painful.
And that year was picked because San Francisco was on the other side.
Right.
Although I will tell you that San Joaquin Tributary Authorities, which is made up of Merced Irrigation District, Turlock, Modesto, Oakdale, and South San Joaquin, have sued the state board.
They have.
They're going to, and it really only affected South San Joaquin and Oakdale, this last curtailment, but the next curtailment will affect the others, and along with the city of San Francisco. They've decided to find out in court because there's this very muddied area. We think it's very clear from our standpoint here in Stanislaus County where the law is, but other people think it's not.
At a certain level, aside from the litigation and the machinations, there's a crisis. And so even if you should be successful, that doesn't bring us rain, that doesn't help the junior water rights holders.
Doesn't make any more water.
Yeah, so we're praying for El Nino. We hear it could be happening, but you know, in the interim, where do you go from here?
It is a horrible situation because even in the have districts, we're utilizing all the surface water. The biggest fight we have now is that to protect our surface water rights, because surface water rights and groundwater rights, or groundwater, are just they're strapped at the hip. So when we look at this, we need to maintain our surface water rights because we're going to have to get surface water to the cities because of the water quality conditions. We're going to have to do groundwater recharge. The irrigation districts have all the transport systems if we're going to do it around the county. So when I say sticking together, this is how we have to stick together.
Let me ask you about recharge, because this winter we could see a lot of rain. I mean, the predictions are El Nino could be coming, 85% chance, and if everything lines up right, it could be torrential rains. I mean, let it be, but can we capture it?
Can we capture it? Not really. And because of the global warming or the differing ecosystem that we have out there, we're going to have to capture more rain runoff. We won't have the snowpack that we used to have. I mean, by all accounts. So you're going to actually have to increase your storage capacity, whether that's above ground, on stream, off stream. It doesn't matter to me, but we have to be prepared, and that's, you know, when we go to groundwater sustainability by 2020, when we have to have a plan in. Better have a hell of a plan.
His name is Vito Chiesa. He is Stanislaus County Supervisor, President of CSAC. I'm Brad Pomerance from Turlock. It's Local Edition.